everybody to kind of identify this. I think this does stem and breed ideas on how you may be able to break the cycle or what your role is. I have some volunteers to read number one.
The ultimate goal of an SI session is to promote the growth of independent learners. I will not make the SI participant dependent on me.
Now that first day we said, was it you that said teaching the fish? Someone said teaching the fish.
It was fine.
Yeah. That type of thing. Breaking the cycle. If they're way too dependent on you for the answer, they'll always go to you, you're crippling them. We need to breed independent critical thinking learners in a system for the last 12 years that has taught them something completely different. Teachers know us all depend on the teacher. We have to start to facilitate and make that change. And that's going to take time. So little nudges every now and then. I went to Haley's, I saw she had one person there, but I remember she said to her, she asked her, the student asked her a question, she said, wow, that's a great idea. Write it on the board. Didn't say, okay, it's this and this, just had her get up, had her get a pen, write on the board so when everyone comes in, we can address it.
No, shut up.
Just a little nudge. Okay, number two. Who wants to do number two? Lenny.
Assessment is a vital part of SI. I will turn in accurate attendance sheets each week.
We'll get to that a little bit later. Number three, Brian.
Punctuality is important. It is an important way to establish credibility with SI participants. I will be early to all my SI sessions.
That is also, credibility. Obviously, if your professor was 20 minutes late every single week, that never happens. The professor's always there on time, or relatively on time, at least in grade school. College is something a little bit different. But credibility, professionalism, that type of thing, that does breed credibility. For Betsy?
Building self-confidence is an important goal for SI. I will regularly praise SI participants and help them build confidence with the material.
Definitely. I know Andrew talks about this a lot with his story about how he didn't even know anything about math and how he's a math major because someone believed in him. Someone took him to the side and said, hey, you can do this. It might take you a little bit longer, you might have to struggle a little bit, but you are good at this. And they're going to look up to you. You've been there, done that. You've passed their class with flying colors. So you should be kind of like a freshman, sophomore type, upperclassman level. So they do look up to you whether you realize it or not. And the power that you have of influence may be immeasurable. Use it. Give them confidence. Number five, Janet.
There is always room for improvement in SI. I will strive to learn new strategies to help increase the effectiveness of my SI sessions.
This goes back to what Ivan was talking about, quality. We want to give you as many tools in your toolbox as we can, divide and conquer all these different tools for a different setting. In counseling, there's many different counseling theories, and that's basically like a toolbox. One theory may work good with one person, another type may work good with two people, or a couple, or a group, or a different age group. You want to have as many different tools in your toolbox to be able to use something that's appropriate, definitely. 6, I'll read it. It is important to model professional behavior to SI participants. I will not portray the instructor, teaching assistants, or others associated with the class in a negative manner, or allow SI participants to do so at my sessions. Has anyone seen that happen?
All the time. I used to be SI for Professor Lee, and it's just, Mr. Lee is a great professor, but students tend to always say that he is hard, and there's just always these comments, and every time I heard it, I would always say, I love Mr. Lee, I think he's a great professor, and I would give them reasons why he's a good professor.
Anyone else? Happens all too often. And if you discredit the professor, guess what? You're discrediting yourself. Try to get up from that. Try to have them respect you after that. It's an upward battle. You do not want that. Just like talking bad about coworkers when you have a job, same type of thing. just don't do it. And what I would say is give them reasons to praise him. Maybe they hadn't thought about this, or this. You know, a lot of professors that I work with a professor at Santa Ana College, and she has a very thick accent. She's from North Korea. She has a very thick, and the students were complaining about it. And I had to, you know, drop that right now. Saying, you know, that's other people from other countries, especially in universities. You're going to get teachers with thick accents because they're from another country. Deal with it.
Can I make a comment
Sure.
about that? I've never had Professor Anna Malou. My sister took her class at RCC, and she made the comment about her that I hear about her here from the students, and it was a negative one. Thick accent, very mean type of teacher. I've never took Professor Anna Malou, but every time I hear it, I always tell them. I make it seem like I have taken her, and I say, you'd be surprised if you actually paid attention. She's actually preparing you for what it's like when you transfer to a university, because in the universities, the teachers won't stop and hold your hand. They're going to keep on moving along. And sometimes you'll get a few students who will be receptive to that idea. A lot of them will dismiss it and just keep their ideas of the professor. But I don't know, I found that method works. I'll just lie and pretend that I took the professor. I've never taken Strong either, but I hear the same things about Strong. I hear that about, and it's usually the students who did bad in the classes who have these comments. Yeah.
I also kind of reflected, I think it happened during, when I was helping the students around, they're like, oh my god, you explained it so much easier than the professor does. And I said, I was like, oh, you know, you have a trouble understanding what she says. So she's like, well, I feel like the material just doesn't, you know, cover what we do on the test. And then I asked her, well, I told her, do you read before does class start? And she paused for a minute, and then she thought about it. And she's like, well, I feel like even when I read a lot of those, there's just too much information. And so I said, maybe I try, you know, like taking little notes before the class, and then like during the class, just like take out the parts that she doesn't even talk about. So maybe that would help the paper. So I kind of had her reflect on maybe use it you.
So I want to make an additional point, and it really goes forward to everything what you guys have said. So if we go back to, where is it? Number 4, praising the SI participants. You're drawing a fine line when often we all want to vent. Don't we all want to vent? So it's good to have a little bit of venting ability when you feel frustrated and you just want to, right? Let them be as well, but also, right, like you don't want to embrace too much of that negativity as well, but sometimes it's good to vent it, you let it out, and once you let it out, it helps the group. Oh, okay, and then the direction of how you take it, oh, maybe let's think about these strategies. If the instructor is this way, well, why don't we think about these other strategies? And so that creates a problem solved. When they see it as there's a solution out there, that's helpful. I think we all work that way, right? I mean, if we see a solution, we're like, okay, then maybe it's not so bad anymore. Are you?
Everyone likes to talk about how hard my professor is, like, oh, everybody's like, hard, blah, blah. And I'd be like, yeah, he is, and this is not an easy subject. Like, I kind of just like, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. This is hard, but I'm like, but that's why you're coming here, because we're going to get you through this, and it's going to be a lot easier in the end. So just like affirming, like, sorry, but you're in this, so let's get you to pass. That's it.
Yeah, 'cause you-
Like, suck it up.
You did without it.
Something to piggyback on what Francine said, because I've worked as a tutor, I've worked as a facilitator. When somebody used to tell me, oh, you explain it so much better, I explained to them, you know, that's because we have a relationship. And I would recommend that you go talk to the professor and build a relationship. And I tell everybody that, go build relationships with your professors. And that, to me, it changed my life when I did that, when I was going to school, because I felt comfortable then going and asking them, and it seemed like I understood a little bit better. So turn it back around on, that's because we have a relationship. Maybe you should go see the office hours and talk to the professor and get to know them.
That's actually a good idea.
You know, an Anna Malou, she's blunt, but that lady will bend over backwards to help anybody.
Yeah.
I had her, and she's She's very blunt, but she's like, do you get it? Okay, moving on. She
Yeah.
doesn't, no nonsense, but if you ask her for help, that lady goes, oh, awesome
I
lady.
kind of do what Aaliyah says about being blunt with the student too, especially if they're STEM students going into STEM fields. I'll remind them, you chose a field, you chose something that's tough. It's not gonna get any easier moving forward. And I'll be that blunt with them. If it's a student that just needs to get to say whatever it is, just to finish here and that's it. With them, I'm not as blunt, and I try to, be easy with them. But it's like if you're going into engineering, you're going into biochemistry, whatever, you chose a field that's gonna require a lot more than this. So don't complain about 095.
And don't open your mouth till you get to calc.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah, it's breaking the cycle, breaking, a culture of dependency, for very underprepared students, And all of you are in a position where it's good to, please always listen first. If someone wants to vent, listen. And, you all went through this class without the help of SI, well, most of you anyway. So you can say, well, when I did it, we didn't have this help. So at least there's funding now to help you get through it. So that's a positive. I realize it, I get it, it was hard for me too. But you have, me, you have other people in your corner, this support system to help you through it. Sergio, number 7.
SI leaders are not expected to have all the answers. I will regularly tell students when I'm unsure of the answers and seek assistance from the course instructor as needed.
I know that's what we're talking about with them. You're not expected to know everything. And I think they respect you more if you say, I don't know that, but I can find out. Now, if you say you find out, you don't find out, that's bad too. So make good on your promises, and we all have things fall through our laps occasionally, but at least they'll see you as a valuable resource all the times. Even if you don't know it and you find out, come back with it and where you got it. But I love what Teresa said about the relationships. One of the biggest things of doing well in college is just sitting in the front row. Something so easy. Having the professor know who you are. And I know anyone who's a professor in this room can vouch for it. If you see the student working their butt off, and they're in between a B+ and an A-, what's gonna happen? I'll always hook them up, because they're working. Always, always, always. And a lot of times, the numbers don't a lot of times grades and numbers don't reflect work and stuff like that. But it's really, really important to get to have a relationship with your professors. Office hours are there for a reason. Becky, number 8. Sorry, Kimberly, my bad.
SI sessions are designed to have students determine what they know about a subject, not learn what the SI leader knows. I will avoid re-lecturing and directly answering students' questions.
I'm sure you've all done this. It's very, very natural. Catch yourself. Break the cycle. It's within us. It's I mean, we call it motherly instinct. It's what we've been taught all our lives. Let them struggle through it. It's for their own good. Don't give it to them too early because you're going to be crippling them. Let's see, Steve, number 9.
SI sessions are regularly scheduled over the course of the semester. I will prepare for each session be timely for each session, and arrange a substitute leader in advance if necessary.
Cross that out, please.
Cross it out?
Yes, and arrange. We don't have that luxury yet. Sorry, I had to make sure that you guys have the correct data information.
Number 10, SI operates as a team. I will do my best to contribute to the team by completing a peer observation facilitating another team member's session, and/or contributing my ideas to the resource files.
This camera is part of the resource file, so you're all doing that at this time.
Make sure that when you get to me, close up. I don't want to share screen time with anybody.
Let me see.
This is for
Hold on.
posterity.
That's you. You're right there.
This is the historical documents.
Close up, right here. And if you can't get on this side, 'cause this is my better side.
So I'd like to share something about number 10, and that is your essay session plans, your worksheets that you are attaching with those, your attendance, all of that is getting documented for a purpose in the long term. There's longevity for this program. There will be, you're setting footsteps for those behind you. So there are people that are SI leaders that are gonna come in without very little tools as well, right? Just like the way that you guys are coming in. So it's difficult to reinvent the wheel. And we often do that a lot in teaching. We all become teachers and nobody tells us how to do the job. And it's very difficult. And I'm sure that if you had a folder where you had those SI session plans, where you had examples, where you had all of these things that were really clear for anybody to just mimic or modify, because modifying is always great. That helps. So I'm putting kind of like a little bug in your ear. All of the planning that you guys do, there's long-term effects that we hope that the people behind you are coming in and helping yourself, like helping themselves out with what you're creating. So kudos for all of the good work that you guys are doing. So we know that it's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of stuff to keep up. It helps in the planning, and I hear that a lot, like it helps plan, but it also helps for people that are coming behind you. So you guys are the successors are to come. Let's go. Let's do one more.
I hadn't even thought of all that. That's really, I'm glad you said that. Because not like.
Right, you see like one picture. We're
Yeah, like
seeing-
I mean, at one point I might have questioned what is all this for, but I never thought of like, there will be other SIs after us. Like, that's cool.
Everything's being documented, and the only way to get funding for more is to provide data. Numbers don't lie, and that's what everyone wants to see, show that things work and things are valuable. So all of your data is very, very valuable. That's why we might have been a little bit more stingy this semester than last semester about all the forms, and I know a lot of you, it's bugged the crap out of you. I get it. Okay, you didn't have to do it last semester, we're making you do it this semester. Please work with us, roll with us, until we get to a nice, smooth running machine, because this is new for us as well. But we know SI works. You know, there's data and documentation to prove it. And so we're just trying to implement it as best we can into the Valley College culture. Thinking about, would someone want to volunteer? Actually, Haley's group. I'm going to pick on you guys, since you guys chose to talk. Now, could you reenact or react out your SI session or your mock session for last week? And with all the new ways you might break the cycle. Now you can take a couple minutes to talk and talk about yourself.
We're good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Good.
That good? Wow.
That's why I called you guys.
In the meantime, for those of you that are not doing something, you have, last week you picked up a handout that says redirecting questions. Pull that out.
That's exactly what we're going to be using, redirecting questions. Course, mass, acceleration, velocity, Newton's laws.
Controls and all those so you guys can put it behind those nice file page dividers that I